Hi guys, welcome to another Chapter IT Bite Size. In this session we are going to be looking at Microsoft Word. Now this session has been designed for individuals who have never used the word processor. Okay, so we're going to the very beginning of how to use a word processor, and we're going to look at some of the features that we can start using straight away. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, for our introduction to word processing, we are going to be using Microsoft Word. So the first part of this is to open Microsoft Word, and you should be presented with something that looks like this. All right, now what these are all little templates that we can use for specific jobs depending on what you're doing. Okay, we've got a calendar there, taking notes, okay, writing a journal, so on and so forth. But in this instance we just want a blank document, so we select blank document and we go to create. Okay, so what we should have then is a blank piece of paper, and if you notice it does actually look like a blank piece of paper. Now if we look at the top of the screen we can see the word document 4. Okay, now document 4 is telling us that we do not have it saved. Now it is a good idea to save your work before you start, okay, just in case there are any problems. So what we do is we move over here to these little icons and we can see the little floppy drive there, okay, and if we hover it over it says save. So let's click on that and it brings up a window. Now it does look a little bit different to a PC, but it does the same thing. First of all, we need to name the document to save it. Okay, so we'll put session 1 for this. Okay, also we need to decide where it's going to save. If you generally don't specify where you actually save it, it will save it into the documents folder on a PC. Okay, and as you can see here I've got documents brought up. Also you need to know about the file format. Make sure it's in Word document or docx. All right, so once you've cleared all that, we can save it, and if you notice the document 4 has changed to session 1. That's telling us that we have saved it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a few paragraphs of text so we can edit them and we can use some of the features. Okay, so if I do that, okay, we've brought up some little paragraphs, okay, so we can work on them. And this document is all about beginning a fitter walking program, just as an example. Right, so what we want to concentrate on today is just these little icons here. That's all we're going to be concentrating on today. We will be looking at all these other ones in further sessions. Now what I'd like to do, I'd like you to highlight the first part of the document which says beginning a fitter working program. So this brings us on to the editing part of the application. Okay, and as you can see here we've got a load of buttons, and you say when I hover over them they do highlight, and if I just leave it onto that one it actually tells us that it says bold. So if I tap on it, it makes my writing bold. Now if I was to tap it again, it would come out of that feature. Now if I click it again, so it's like an on and off switch really. Okay, now the next one is italics, and as you can see it says italic. So if we click on it once it becomes italic, and if we click off it again it goes back to the way it was before. Okay, the next one is underline. Okay, we will be using this quite a lot in the sessions. So if we click it once it underlines, and if we click it again it disappears. So let's keep that as underlined. Okay, and if you look to the right of that key we've also got other types of underlining as well, depending on the job that you're doing. Right, the next part of this, okay, is this little box here, and it says Calibri in it. Now this is where we choose our fonts, okay, the shape of our writing. All right, so if you click the little arrow pointing down, it gives us quite a lot of different types of fonts, okay, and we can choose the one that we need which suits the document that we're actually writing. Now if we are writing a form of document, I do recommend we use either Arial or Calibri, okay, for that. Okay, we try to stay away from all more the elaborate ones, okay, because they can be quite difficult to read. All right, so if I change it now to Calibri, okay, and then we'll change it to Arial. As you can see the difference, it changes. Okay, now it will only change what you've highlighted in this instance. Okay, now if we look at this here, it says a number 12. Now this is the font size. Now if we are writing a letter or typing a letter, we do recommend that you type between 12 and 14. Okay, but again, it's completely up to you depending on what you're actually typing. So in this instance, we can change it. Okay, we can change it to 14 and watch the writing grow, and we'll move it back down to 12 like that. All right. Now, what I'd like to look at now is this one here, which is change case. Now, if you notice on beginning a Fitter Walking program, there is no capital letter at the beginning. So if we click on that, we can actually make it all uppercase, or lowercase, or sentence case. Okay, as you see, if I click on sentence case, it actually capitalizes the B. All right. Now, if you notice, there are words in this document with red lines underneath. That is telling us that there is a spelling mistake. Okay, they are put there deliberately, so we can do a spell check afterwards. All right. Okay. So, if you notice that if we move away from these here and concentrate on these here, if I, again, with beginning a Fitter Walking program still highlighted, if I put my cursor on this key here, it says align to the left, which means that writing will be on the left hand side. If I was to go to this one on the next to it, it says center text, so we can just click on that and it will center that piece of writing. And again, if I go to the next one, it's right indent, okay, and it'll take it to the right depending on what we want to do. All right, and again, the next one along is justify text, and it will make it justified. Now, you'll only see a difference in that if you have more than one line of writing. So if I was to go here and highlight all that there and then click on justified, you'll notice slight movement in it. It just means that each side of the paragraph is completely aligned. All right, now if I go back to left align, you'll see that they have actually moved again. All right, you'll typically find these in this type of alignment in books. Okay, so that's great. Oh, okay, so the next part, okay, I'd like to look at is the color of the text. Now, if you wanted to write in a different color, or you wanted to make sure that something stood out, okay, we could change the color. Now, if I was to highlight the top again, all right, and we go to this key here, okay, it says font color. So if we go to the little arrow down there, okay, and it gives us an array of colors, we can change it to any color we want. Let's say red, and it changes to red. All right, and if we go again, we can change it to blue. Oh, if we highlight it again, change it to blue, and again, we can change it to purple if we wish. As long as it's highlighted, it will actually change color. All right, and let's go back to black once again. Okay, now again, if you wanted to have some color behind text rather than having the text itself in a different color, we can highlight the text and go to this key here, which says highlight text, highlight color. Okay, so as you can see, the text itself is still black, but there is a yellow background on the text as well. All right, now we can go away from that and we click no color, and it will, oh, if we highlight it again, I should say, and then we can go to the no color and it will disappear. All right, now if you make a mistake, which it does happen, okay, it does happen, no color, take that away. Now if we make a mistake and for instance we make this green and we don't want that, instead of going through all the settings once again, we can just go to this button here, which is the undo. All right, so if you think you're making a massive mess of your document, don't worry, just go to this button here and click back. And again, if you want to go forward again, all right, you can redo the highlight and it will highlight once again. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on that and we're going to bring it back to its original state. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down the document and I'm going to just highlight that. I'm going to bolden it up and I'm going to underline them. Okay, there we go. Don't worry about the spelling mistakes at the moment. We're going to look at that in a second. Okay, so as you can see, I'm all the little headings, I'm highlighting and I'm underlining. All right. There we go, job done. Now the last thing I want to do, okay, is I want to do a quick spell check, okay, before we finish. And the way we do that is we look at the word review and we look at spelling and grammar. So if we click on that, okay. Burning is with 2 and it suggests it down here. So this is the word that's not in the dictionary and this is the one they're suggesting, and we can just say change. Again, it's saying this is incorrect, okay? In fact, there are 2 blue lines underneath this, okay? And it's saying it's wrong, so we'll just change it. All right, again, fitness, okay? Fitness is spelt wrong and it's given us some options there and we'll change to the one we want. Okay, elongating, okay, elongating, okay, we can change that. Steps, change that. Okay, of course, as a comma, it does actually check grammar also. Change. Steps, again, steps. So with a comma, okay, equals again is spelt wrong, it's in red, we'll change that. Okay, acquired is spelt wrong, and then we are complete. So the grammar and the spelling check is complete, and if you notice, there are no longer any red marks on the document. Okay, so that is how we edit and change the text on a document. I hope that helps. Okay, in the next session we are going to be typing a little bit out, okay, and looking at other functions and features on Microsoft Word. I hope that helped, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.